Hi everyone, this is a quick video to show you how to set up the XR interaction toolkit and just XR integration in general in a clean Unity project. So this is if you just want to start off from nothing. For instance, your assignments for the class, if you just want to start off and make a template or something like that. This is how you set that up. And we've done this in class, but again, it's a good review to sort of get your head wrapped around what we're doing. So what you want to do is start from Hub. And you should have something that looks much less populated than this. This is just a bunch of different projects and things I'm working on. But go ahead and make a new project. Like we've talked about in the past, make sure you pick the correct version. On this system, I have two different versions, but make sure you're always on the 2022.1.x that we're using for the classes in the fall 2022 semester. And if you're watching this in the future somehow, just make sure you're on the version you need. I'm on 1.3F on this computer. You should be on 13 or 14 in 2022. They should be the same. If we do find something that's different, then that'll be cool. I'll switch mine and update it. For the purposes of this, let's just use the standard 3D core one here. We will talk about some of these other ones, maybe URP and HDRP later in the class. There are some issues sometimes with URP and VR. And HDRP for sure, but we'll get into that as we progress. So again, just name it something. I'm going to call this 460 XR template, and then confirm that I'm saving it where I want to save it. It's my Unity folder on my main drive here. Hit select folder and create project. And this will go, for a little bit. I'll probably just cut here, but just as I'm chatting about the sort of process. Remember that it's got a lot of stuff to build the first time, and then successive openings should be a bit faster. So we'll jump back in once this is fully loaded. All right, here we are. That took about 2 minutes for me, which is actually kind of long, so I'm not sure if something's going on. But it should take around a few minutes. I mean, a few minutes, depending upon your system. If you're running this on a MacBook, an older computer or something, it might just take a little longer. Just let it go. Go grab a cup of coffee or something, make a sandwich, and let it load up. This is the first time I've shared a video from the system in my office, I think, and I'm using doing the screen capture here on an ultra wide monitor, and I've zoomed in a little bit the resolution so that you can see a bit better. But just give me some feedback if you're having trouble reading this. I can adjust how I'm screen capping stuff so that you can see a little bit easier, more easily, and just let me know if things are hard to read or something like that. Okay, so this is your blank scene. You remember we've talked about this a bit, the layouts over here in the upper corner. I have my own custom layout, but you can make your own layout however you want. I'll show you mine here. This is kind of how I set mine up. The reason is the things that we're going to need, as we talked about in class, are the package manager and the project settings, right? If you don't have these two windows open, the easiest way to get them for project settings is you can go to edit and then project settings down here. Or I said this in class on the Monday night class, I always forget that it's there and I go to edit build settings and then I click on player settings. And that actually will take you to this part of project settings. This is like a really roundabout way to do it. Easiest way, obviously, is to go grab it from edit, project settings, and then dock it here because you're going to use it a lot. The other one we need is package manager. This is in your window, and then package manager there. And again, when you bring it in for the first time, it'll be floating somewhere. I like to dock them over here just so you can access them. And we will do that a lot in every project. Okay, so the purpose of this video is just to set up the XR interaction, and that's it. So the process for that is under your project settings. Actually, back up. If you're doing this for the 460 class in the fall 2022, and you're building for Quest, the actual first thing you want to do, best practice, is to make sure that your build target for your project is Android. And to do that, you go up to File, and then Build Settings. And then you'll get this window that will pop up. Oops. Like that. And then you want to click on Android and go to Switch Platform. And you saw this thing, I got this little error that popped up. The package name must follow the convention like this. I'll show you how to fix that in a second. But you want to go to Switch Platform and Android and then let it roll. The reason you want to do this right away is because before you start bringing in code and scripts and all that stuff, assets, you want to just let it go because that won't take very long. What it's doing is like recompiling the entire project into an Android to work on Android. And if you have lots of assets and code, models, all this stuff, it has to go through all of that stuff. So if you know you're going to use Android, just do it right away. And then it's much, much faster. So really quickly, just to show this error, because I know a few people in class had this pop up. It says the package name must follow the convention com.yourcompany.yourproductname and must only contain alphanumeric and underscore characters. Each segment must start with an alphabetical character. So what that means is, if you look up here, they're referring to this. Okay. And I ran into the problem where this has to start, it can't start with a number, right? So I'll change this to XR template for 60, like that. This is referring to the product name and the company name, okay? And you can also confirm this down here. This is in your project settings. If you scroll down, it's going to look like this. And you can actually click on override default package name and actually type in your name here if it's giving you the error because you may have named this wrong. I think in class, what most people were finding was you were making names that had like dots in them, like, you know, XR test 8.26 for like the date or something like that. So just a heads up, you'll see me in class often, I'll use these underscores. That's why. It's just out of habit because you want to avoid stuff like this. In your console, if you see things like this and you want them to go away, you can just go ahead and hit clear. Those will go away. If they do not go away, so if you hit clear and you're like clicking it and it's red and it doesn't go away, that means you have some sort of like persistent error that must be addressed because you won't be able to build or compile until that's figured out. And there's hundreds and hundreds of things that could be doing that to you. And really the best way for us to kind of tackle that is case by case. So if something is happening in your project and it's not allowing you to compile or you've got some persistent error, just let me know and we can try and track down the problem. Okay, so now we're in Android, right? We've got our windows open here. Oops, got our windows open here and we want to go into the project settings window over here. And then we want to click on XR plugin management. And we want to click, oh my gosh, we want to click install XR plugin management. All this is doing is telling Unity that this is going to be an XR app in some sort of environment that's going to use XR. It's going to bring in some of the scripts that are only necessary for that to happen. The next step is we want to tell it what platform for XR that we are targeting. This is Oculus, and it's Android Oculus. And you can click that. And it's going to add in just a few more scripts, right? You can target multiple things if for some reason you wanted to. There's reasons why you may want to do that in the future. The other thing that is interesting here is that you can click on this little tab here at the front, and that is Windows, Mac, and Linux. We'll do this in class when we're actually plugging your Quests into the PCs. This allows you to, if you click on this little check here, it allows you to, in the editor, hit play and then have your headset plugged in and actually look at your scene live as it's happening. You have to be on a computer that has a VR-ready GPU, and it has to be a PC. So if that's you, if that's your laptop you have at home or PC, that's great. You'll need this, and then you'll also need to install the Oculus software. We haven't talked about this yet, though we'll do this in class in the next couple of weeks once all the PCs are set up. If you want a jump ahead with that, if you're setting it up at home, just shoot me an email and I'll walk you through the process. But like I said, we'll do that in class in a little bit. Okay, anyways, XR plugin management is set up. That's great. And if you were to just go ahead and build this, you would get the thing that we did in class where you could look around and the camera's moving with your head. And it's sort of weird, right? It kind of works, but it doesn't quite work. And that's because we haven't actually told Unity that we want the camera to function as an HMD, as a head-mounted display. And the easiest way to do that is to use what we call an SDK or a software developer kit. And there are, I think I said dozens, and there's dozens and dozens of these for VR at this point. The one we're going to use to start off with is the XR Interaction Toolkit, and that's actually made by Unity, and it's built into the Unity engine, which is fantastic. It's very easy, it's low friction, we can just start going and playing with it. It has limitations, but it has a lot of advantages as well. So to get that, like most things that we're going to bring in or activate in the engine, we want to go to your package manager. And this is where you have all the built-in, as you see over here, these are built-in packages. You can think of them like plugins too, if you want to think of like Adobe or like a DAW or something. These are like your plugins that you have already in. Version control, this is using Plastic, which if you're curious about that, we could chat about too. Visual scripting, and then XR plugin management, right? We've got that. There's some example code that we don't need to import, and all this stuff, right? This is what we've got in already. If you look up at the top, it says packages in project. That's what these are. These are the ones that are currently there. If you click on this, what we want to do is actually access the Unity registry. And then we get all of this stuff. These are all of the different packages that ship with Unity, but are not defaulted to being active. So when we set up the 3D blank scene, right, it brought some packages in by default, but there's a ton of stuff, right, that you obviously would want to use that Unity has included. A lot of these are actually companies that they bought. Like for your homework, I'll make another video about ProBuilder. ProBuilder was an asset made by a company that was really popular, and Unity actually bought the company and then put the asset into the engine because it was so popular. So things like that, right, are in here. The one that we want to grab is all the way at the bottom, and is the XR Interaction Toolkit. Like I said, this is just a bunch of code that allows us to use the headset as a tool, right, to actually work as a VR headset. So you can read this, right? It's a high-level component-based interaction system creating VR and AR experiences. And that's important to note. It also can be used for AR experiences, which is super cool. So a lot of this will parallel if you wanted to do mobile augmented reality in some way. In fact, it also parallels in the like high-end AR experiences using you could use it for HoloLens, but you wouldn't probably want to, but definitely for Magic Leap or Magic Leap 2. These are, several $1,000 devices that thankfully will support this. So if you built an app for Quest, you could fairly easily transition it to another device, which is great, right? It makes it fairly fluid. It's a framework, 3D UI interactions from Unity, events, core system. A lot of this stuff we're using words we haven't quite talked about yet, but we will. Suffice it to say, it's your stuff you need, so hit install and let it go. It's going to start bringing in a bunch of code, and then it gives you a bunch of prompts because it's interacting with the way that the project is set up, and we're going to have to respond to those prompts. All right, so just let it roll here. Let's go in, Get this. Compiling some scripts, and then it's going to ask, I think the first one, yep, here it is. This is talking about the input system. I mentioned this for sure in the Monday class, right? That there are two different input systems and just essentially how like Unity is governing button presses and things like that, right? There's the old system and there's a new system, and they've transitioned around the times that this class is happening, right? In 2021, 2022. Regardless, you do want to say yes because we have to update this. And when you do, it's going to kind of do some stuff for a second here, and then Unity is going to look like it crashed. This is just saying that you're making changes to the project settings, basically, and it's saying, are you sure you want to do that, right? Because it can in some cases, like if you're mashing together projects, do these changes and something breaks. It's fine, obviously, because we have to do this. So just say I made a backup, even though we didn't, it's all fine, and just let it go. And it's looks like it crashed, but it's actually just restarting the editor for you. And once we pop back in, things will be set up and we're ready to go. And this shouldn't take too long. Like I said, it's the successive boots of a project are faster than the initial compilation. So it should be slightly faster. I mean, mine was like 2 minutes the first time. So yeah, there we go. It's like 30 something seconds. Excellent. Okay, so now we're back in, right? And you can go down and click on these things, right? And you'll see the little check marks and it says remove, right? So you know that these things are now in the project, right? Which is wonderful. Just a bunch of code that's installed now. The way we can tell that that's actually happened is now if we right click in here, we have an XR menu. And this is all of the different things that we're going to be using for this interaction kit. For this class right now, we're going to use device based. Obviously there's this other thing that says like action based, and we'll talk about that a bit. There's a really good reason why you want to use action based. It has to do with just more robust transferable interactions. However, we're only building for Quest right now, and device-based is easier. It's less stuff to keep track of. Action-based you would use if you knew you were going to deploy your app to Quest and also Vive and also whatever. But for us, this is fine. So you go over this device-based, and then you go down to this thing called XR origin. And what that is you. This is you in VR, right? This is where you're going to start. You have your XR origin script over here that Unity has provided. The base game object, this is you as a person. This is your camera offset. This is just basically showing where your camera is going to be offset from the ground. The main camera, this is your eyes right here. And then we haven't talked about tracking origin mode or camera offset yet, but we will in class. And that's it. If you were to now, and this is what we did in class, right? If you were to make like a floor, right? Like that, and then we were to make like, I don't know, a little sphere or something like that. Great. And look at our game view. Pull up our little guy so we're not under the ground. And then we were to compile this, it would work. We could play it in VR. Yeah, so if you wanted to just do build and run from that point, it'll work just fine. And that's it. You've got it set up for just a basic VR scene. So I'll stop there, and then I'll send a couple more videos just kind of talking about how to build the interaction systems right with this. But if this is just your base, sort of base template kind of VR interaction system. Cool. Look out for other videos and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.